Oma Guru Vajradhara Suma Timo Nisha Sane Karm Uta Varda Nyeshri Bara Varsa Sarva Siddhi Hum Oma Guru Vajradhara Suma Timo Nisha Sane Karm Uta Varda Nyeshri Bara Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Om Dhagi Jetsun Lama Toje Je Nyamda Dala Toje Sikso So Gebe Shesan Dala Tendo So Oyon Sunge Nawa Tsedo So Teje Ningne Sawa Debe Te Dechen Korlo Viso Lekshu Ne Yila Sambe Dede Malepa Geme Lunge Drubra Jinge Lo Tsoni Sodan Dikden Shapetse Dunge Namge Yinso Lekshu Ne Labjen Tsoni Yonso Zobada Cheranye Dun Chamra Jinge Lo Chancho Parge Ninsen Tukuntu Nyu Peme Sudro Lekshu Ne Chancho Drube Gegen Kunshishi Dunge Dela Drubra Jinge Lo Dage Lona Chola Chopada Yami Samchor Ngemba Shiva Dan Chedan Timbe Dede Malepa Peme Lunge Drubra Jinge Lo Dorna Tingne Tsera Tamche Dan Teje Pardo Negav Tamche Tu Rese Kyamne Lama Kele Me Tuche Chinge Dala Sikso So Gongyab Dreve Nyamda Dachala Jetsun Lame Tuche Rab Gongne Kodan Sunge Nawa Drame To Nyamso Nyome Kesan Toprasho Yewa Kundo Yanda Lama Dan Rame Cheki Pela Longche Chi Tadan Lamge Yund Dorje Change Koba Nyur Toba Sho Pakyuke Kodan Dagi Lo Pakyuke Sundan Dagi Nga Pakyuke Todan Dagi Yi Yenyerme Chikto Jingi Lo Makyuke Kodan Dagi Lo Makyuke Sundan Dagi Nga Makyuke Todan Dagi Yi Yenyerme Chikto Jingi Lo Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Swaha Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Swaha Om Muni Muni Moon Shakyamuni Swaha. So, yesterday we had the opportunity to go through more what we also call in Tibetan Chewa Tempa, which means like the importance of the specific Dharma, in this case the practice of self-healing according to the 5 Dhyani Buddhas. So we went seeing where it comes from, what is its meaning, and so on, and its importance. And what I would like to do today, even though the time is not that much time because we also need to do in 2 languages, I want to give an overview of self-healing, which means we don't have the time now to go into details about every part of the practice, but we can have actually an overview and understand how it is divided, how many parts it has, how it is structured. So at least we have at least one more clear idea. For those that already know, it's a good way to remember and update. For those that are new, it's a good way to start to understand. Okay? So, first of all, the practice of self-healing is what we call a sadhana. Sadhana, it's in Tibetan called gomde, which means meditation and recitation. It is a practice where we unite the recitation together with visualization, meditation, gesture, breathing, posture. All of this goes together. So, very briefly, the main objective of self-healing, there are many levels of objectives, but to make it more simple, is that the objective is for us to generate positive, states of mind, in order for us to get familiarized with these states of mind, in order for after it to come in a natural and spontaneous way. So somehow we self-induce ourselves to these states of mind, which normally would not come spontaneously, which are based on love and compassion and generosity and stability, wisdom. There are different stages of mind that normally would not come spontaneously. So what we do is that we force ourselves somehow. We induce ourselves into these states of consciousness in order for us to get familiarized with it so that it may come naturally and spontaneously. So, this is normally what we do in any meditation practice, which we call gomde, any sadhana, okay? And then inside of it, there are actually many steps, many parts of the meditation. So meditation doesn't mean necessarily emptying our mind of anything else. It means actually taking away the distractions and directing our mind to the specific object of meditation. And in the practice of self-healing, like many other sadhanas, we have many objects of meditation that is coming one after the other. So we could say, more or less, that there is many meditations put together into one. We could say something like this also. Okay, so let's try to structure the practice, understand how it is structured. Perciò, potremmo dire che la pratica dell'autoguarigione viene divisa in, diciamo, principalmente 4 parti. Okay? Le 4 parti in cui la pratica dell'autoguarigione è divisa sono le pratiche preliminari, poi abbiamo lo stadio di generazione, poi abbiamo lo stadio di completamento e poi abbiamo la conclusione finale. Quindi abbiamo una parte di preparazione, una parte di conclusione e la parte effettiva della pratica in mezzo, ossia abbiamo le pratiche preliminari, quindi la parte di preparazione, abbiamo lo stadio di generazione, lo stadio di completamento che è la pratica effettiva e poi abbiamo le conclusioni finali, quindi assorbimento e conclusione finale. Quindi questo è un po', diciamo, la struttura macro. Okay? Ogni parte è molto importante. Non è che uno dice no, le preliminari, ma no, non è importante, andiamo dritto alla parte effettiva. Si può anche fare, diciamo, però non funziona tanto quanto. Le preliminari in realtà sono molto importanti. Ok? Poi dopo andiamo a capire, qualcuno potrebbe dire no, vado subito allo stadio di realizzazione, questo è il più importante. Sì, però senza aver fatto prima le preliminari non si può fare bene lo stadio di generazione, senza aver fatto bene lo stadio di generazione non si può fare lo stadio di realizzazione. Non funziona. È un po' come voler costruire il secondo piano senza aver fatto il primo. Non ci sta, e voglio fare il primo piano senza aver fatto le fondamenta. Non funziona. Dobbiamo prima avere le fondamenta solide, sulla base di queste fondamenta solide possiamo costruire il primo piano, il secondo piano, terzo piano e così via. Ok? Però ogni parte è importante, ogni parte c'è la sua funzione, la sua ragione di essere. So, as we go through the practice is mainly structured into, let's say, 4 parts. There are many different ways how we can divide it. But let's say we divide the practice of self-healing into 4 steps or 4 parts. The 4 parts are the preliminary practices, which is like the preparation. Then we have the generation stage. Then after we have the completion stage. And after that we have the final conclusion, which means absorption and dedication. Okay? So this is the simple way how we can divide the practice. We can also say, okay, we have a preparation in the beginning, a conclusion in the end, and then we have the actual practice in the middle. The actual practice is divided into generation stage and completion stage. Some people may say, oh, then let's go directly to the actual practice, why we need to do preparations and so on. It's because if we do not do the foundations of a house, we cannot build the first floor. And some people say, oh, maybe may say, oh, we may go directly to realization stage because what we want is to realize things. Without the generation, you cannot realize. Like wanting to build the third floor without having the first and the second ready. It's not possible. So first we need to have the foundation. Then we can go to the first floor. Then we can do the second. And then we can go on and on. So actually, each part of the practice, it's very important, okay? Each part has, there is a specific reason why it's there. And it's a whole process. It's important for us to understand that the practice of self-healing, it's complete. So it has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And one part is connected to the other. Okay? So, we start with the preliminaries. We could say that the preliminaries is originally divided into two parts, which are the preparation of the preparation, which means the preliminaries of the preliminaries, and the actual preliminaries practice. The preparation is what we do before we start reciting anything, which is basically cleaning the place where we will meditate, preparing the actual space physically, preparing the seat of meditation, making the altar, making offerings, burning an incense, making prostrations, sitting in the correct position. So here we have the 8 postures of Vairochana with the crossed legs, our back is straight, shoulders are relaxed, the hand in the right position, our head slightly forward, our eyes slightly closed looking downwards, the mouth relaxed, the awareness of our breath, basically. Okay? So here we have the correct posture of meditation. And what we need to do to conclude the preliminaries of the preliminaries is to bring our mind into a state of calm, in a neutral state, at least. Why? Because if I am taken by anger, jealousy, miserliness, pride, arrogance, attachment, or any other feeling like this, any other disturbing emotion like this, it would be very difficult for me to generate a correct motivation. I can even sit down and do all the prayers correctly. I can recite everything very nicely, but if my mind is going around, right and left and up and down and here and there and future and past and like this and like that, then it's going to be mostly just a recitation. And what we want to do is not just to recite, we want to meditate. So in order for us to do that, we need first of all to bring our mind to a more neutral state. And we do that with single-pointed breathing meditation. Maybe in the beginning we are not exactly single-pointed, but that's the direction that we need to give, which is that we observe our own breath. As we inhale and as we exhale, we follow the breath with our mind. And then, slowly, any other thought that comes to the mind, we don't follow it. We just bring back the attention again and again to the breath. And by this way, in the beginning we have more thought, and slowly, it's like if we relax ourselves within the present moment. We are not like, it's not like something tense that we try to take away all the distractions. No, we need to relax within our breath. Relax within the present moment, within the object of meditation. And by doing that, we can gradually take away all the other sorts of thoughts and disturbing emotions and create a solid basis to generate the correct motivation. Okay? So, actually, on all these parts of the preliminaries and so on, there are many ways how we can do them, which is, for example, the Guru Puja itself is a preliminary practice. In the commentary of the Guru Puja that I have been doing here in Albagnano, all this part I have already explained. So I think I have explained it in quite many details, all this preliminary part also. So it's actually the same for self-healing and Guru Puja. There are different ways how to recite the verses, but basically the preliminaries are the same. So once we have concluded the preparation of the preliminaries, we go to the actual preliminaries, prayers and practice. And we could say that it is divided into 4 parts, which would be the generation of the motivation, the generation of the merit field, or invitation of the merit field, or generation of the merit field. Then after that, we will have the 7 limb prayers and requesting of blessings. This is the 4 steps, okay, that we have within the preliminary practice. So let's just see it quickly. So, as we go through the preliminary practices, we start, as we have just said, it's divided into 4 parts, which is generating the correct motivation, generating the merit field, making the 7 limb prayers, and requesting the blessings. So we start by generating the correct motivation. Generating the correct motivation, there are many different ways how we can do the actual prayers, but I will just go to the actual essence of it, okay? And the essence is that, why am I sitting here to meditate? Why? If we are really sincere with ourselves and we look, what's the reason why we are sitting to make a practice of meditation such as self-healing, we will see that for most of us the reasons are such like, I think is of benefit for me, I feel good about it, I think I have some health problem and I think it could help, I am not balanced emotionally and I think it will be of benefit for me to do the practice, or I think it will help me to be a better person, or whatever. Okay, there are many motivations. But the best motivation is not something that is not coming most of the time spontaneously to us. That's why we need to generate the motivation. So there's the whole part of, as it's called originally, taking refuge and generating the bodhicitta, which is the part in which we actually generate the motivation, okay? So what is the best motivation that we can have? It's the motivation of love towards ourselves and love towards others. Love towards ourselves starts by recognizing what is harmful to us, such as anger and jealousy and miserliness and pride and so on. And by that, we have generated this intention in which I want to abandon completely all the attitudes that are harmful towards myself. I want to accomplish all the qualities that are of benefit for myself in order for me to be happy, in order for me to be well. Not projecting my happiness in what is external, but projecting my happiness into developing love and compassion and balance and stability and wisdom and so on. So, this is when we take refuge, okay, in very few words. Then after that, we go to the next step, which is, okay, I want to be of benefit, I want to develop my qualities, but what about others? And as we look around ourselves and we see the world in which we live and we see how much suffering is around there, finally, where is all this suffering coming from? Mostly, it's coming from the ignorance of human beings. Because somehow we still live in a sort of illusion that it's possible to be happy, everybody, if we manage to have a good system. So we are always trying to see, okay, what's the best organization system that we can create, and the government system, and we try to create all different sorts of material external conditions so that everything will work fine and so on. But when we really look to it, for how long have we been trying to do this? Thousands of years? Sure, before the time of the Greek and the Romans already were trying to do that, and much before that also. And what do we see again and again? Some sort of development and failure, then war and crisis and all sorts of things, and conflicts constantly. But finally, where are all these conflicts coming from? From ignorance, from hatred, from attachment, from miserliness, and so on, from greed. No? People are so greedy often that they want to make profit on others' suffering. Very common to see that. When we have a disaster, and there are people suffering, and then there is someone trying to using that to make business. No? And if we look in our very small world here around us, of our family, our friends, the community where we live, the people that we relate to, very often most of the conflicts are coming from selfishness and from attachment and from anger and so on. Okay? So if we really look, what's the only way how we can really be of benefit in a middle long term? Is by helping others to eliminate anger, jealousy, pride, miserliness, and so on, to develop their qualities. So, how can I do that? How can I help someone to be stable and to develop love and compassion and to eliminate his own anger and jealousy and so on, if I myself am full of anger and jealousy? It's not working. So first of all, I need to develop my qualities. I need to abandon my own mental defilements. And by that, I can help others to do the same. No other choice. If I come to you and I say, oh, but don't be angry, while I am very often angry, is it working? No. So if I don't like people getting angry and I think it's not good for them, what I need to do first of all to be able to be effective? I need to change myself. I need to eliminate my own anger. And that's not enough. I need to eliminate my ignorance and my selfishness and my pride in order to help others to do the same. So, the motivation that we generate is, I want to help every sentient being. I want everyone to be free from suffering. In order to do that, the only choice I have is to develop my own qualities, to abandon my own defilements, which in other words means to reach enlightenment. And in order for me to do that, what I'm going to do? I'm going to practice self-healing as a method to help me to develop my qualities, to abandon my defilements, so that I may be able to help others to do the same. So may I reach enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. And in order to reach enlightenment, I will do the practice of self-healing. So that's the motivation that we will generate at the beginning. Okay? Now, this is the basics of motivation. There are many ways how we can recite this, and but this is the basics motivation that we generate. So, after doing the 7 limb prayers, we'll go to the next part, which is requesting the blessings. Requesting the blessings is an important moment because it's the moment through which we actually make the connection with Guru Buddha, with the holy beings. It's the moment in which also we, not only make the connection with the holy beings outside, we also make the connection with our own potential of enlightenment inside. Because when asking for blessings, it's not like, oh, Guru Buddha, please bless me, please do something for me, I am really in a difficult situation, I have so much anger, I have jealousy, I have pride, I'm suffering, please do something for me. I am too lazy, it's too difficult for me, so please do something for me. If we would say something like this and Guru Buddha listened to us, Guru Buddha would look to us and would say, I'm sorry, I would love to do it for you, but I cannot. All I can do is show you what you need to accomplish and show you what you need to abandon, and then depends on you. And I can bless you so that you may have a positive condition to do that path, but I cannot do it for you. So when we say requesting the blessings, doesn't mean asking Guru Buddha to do something for us because we are lazy or because we feel it's too difficult or something like this. It's actually requesting the blessings which are positive conditions through which we will develop our love and compassion and patience and wisdom and so on. It's requesting these positive conditions through which we will abandon our anger and hatred, the desire, attachment, and so on. Okay? And actually the blessings are very important because through the blessings, which are positive conditions that helps us to transform our mind deeply. Okay? Something quite subtle, but at the same time, very concrete. It's possible really to feel it, to touch it somehow. So in the practice of self-healing, we start requesting the blessings. We do it with 2 prayers, which is the first one is Locha Samapagito Shipatu Jetempetilena Odapegiro Sambezepande Lama Michel Swade, Oma Guru Vajadara Sumati Munisha Senekarma Uta Vardanya Shribada Varsamanya Sarva Siddhi Hum. And then after we do the prayer, Oma Guru Buddha Siddhi Hum. Okay? So these 2 moments is when we request the blessing. And as we request the blessings, here, it's divided into these 2 parts. The first part, it is requesting the blessings of the lineage. And the second part is called practicing the Guru Yoga. Okay? So as we request the blessings of the lineage, what we do is that we imagine that not only we connect and we imagine not only our own root guru, but the guru of our guru, the guru of the guru of our guru, the guru of the guru of the guru of our guru, up to Buddha Shakyamuni. So basically we are making the connection of our own lineage. And it's something very important because in order for us to obtain realizations, we must have the correct transmission. Just by reading a text of a meditation practice and trying to follow it without having the transmissions, without having the connection to the lineage, it's said that it will bring no benefits at all. So, in the sense that it will not bring realizations, no benefits at all, it's maybe a little bit too hard, but it will not bring us realizations. So we must connect to the lineage. We must connect to this continuum of blessings. So in our case, we are very lucky because we have this direct transmission from Lama Michel Rinpoche. We have this connection. So if we want to make the prayers a little bit longer, at this point we can do the prayer mantra of Trichan Rinpoche, like Lo Sangyawa Kungye Shenyi. We can do the prayer of Paponka Rinpoche and so on, all the guru lineage gurus that we want. Or we can go directly to the guru lineage, to the guru mantra of our own root guru, Lama Michel Rinpoche, which is what we mostly do normally. Okay? So most of the times what we do is we just go directly Locho Sambopa Gyutra Shipa, but then we can visualize the whole lineage and the transmission of the, the blessings that we receive from one master to the other, up to our own root guru and from him to us. Okay? So this is the part where we do the requesting the blessings of the lineage. Okay? In every sadhana, normally it starts by requesting, after generating the correct motivation, we have 7 limb prayers and so on, and then we go to the requesting the blessings of the lineage. So as I said yesterday, self-healing is perfectly structured like every other sadhana. Okay? So, we first part to request the blessings, we start by requesting the blessings of the lineage. So, after having made the part of Guru Yoga, we go with the 2 purifications. Actually, which is called relative purification and absolute purification. Within the relative purification, there are many practices of purification that we can do. Lama Ganchen, in the Self-Healing number 2 book, he explains 7 different practices of purification, from which there is the astrological purification, there is the Vajrasattva practice, and so on. And the one to which is given the most emphasis is on the purification of the elements. So that's the one that we mostly do. Okay? And that's the one we will explain now. So to do the purification of the elements, we visualize in our crown there is a space element. And the space element, it's blue in color and is the basis of purification for the other elements, because the space element is the one that allows the other elements to relate between them. If there was no space between each element would not exist, all will be one. So space is what permits the other elements to exist and to coexist and to relate between each other. So first of all, we do this purification of the space. And when we make the purification of the space, the sensation is everything fits in its own space. There's no conflict between parts. And after that, we do the purification of wind. And we visualize this green wind that flows from our from the heel of our foot. It flows upwards for our legs, arrives in our secret chakra. And as it arrives in our secret chakra, very gentle and very stable. It's not like a wind goes strong and weak. No, it's a stable wind that goes up. And as it reaches our secret chakra, it unites. And then at the navel, there is a triangular red fire. And the stable wind makes the fire to grow
Similar like when we take away oxygen from fire, the fire dies. And if we have also a stable amount of oxygen and the wind is stable, the fire will grow. So similar to that, the wind goes from our secret chakra upwards, and then we feel that the fire is growing from our navel as this triangular red fire up to that it reaches our chest, our heart chakra. In our heart chakra, there is a yellow earth mandala, which is like a yellow cube of earth. The earth is heated up by the fire. It's purified. The heat of the earth heats the water, which is in the throat chakra. And as the water, white in color, heats up, it evaporates. And as it touches the crown chakra, it condenses. And then it goes down through our whole body as a rain of nectar. Okay? And this happens also together with the sit syllables, which is space vibrates with the sit syllable E. The wind vibrates with the sound of Yam. The fire vibrates with the sound of Ram. The earth vibrates with the sound of Lam. The water vibrates with the sound of Bam. Okay? So as we visualize, it's not that, for example, in my heart chakra, I visualize a little yellow cube with the letter Lam. No, I visualize a cube of earth, and it vibrates with the sound of Lam. If I want to visualize the Tibetan sit syllable Lam, I can, but more than the letter, what we need to imagine is the actual vibration of that energy, the vibration of that sound. I have the wind, it's real wind coming up, and it vibrates with the sound of Yam. The fire, it's a real fire, red in color, that vibrates with the sound of Ram. The water in the throat is actual water, it's white, and it has the sound of Bam, and then it evaporates, transforms into nectar that flows through our whole body, filling our whole body with nectar, purifying our body and mind. Okay? So this is basically the purification of the elements that we do. Very simple way. There are many other ways of explaining the purification of the elements. We could go into other details, and we could go into a more deeper explanation. Just very briefly, there is a very strong connection between the explanation of the purification of the elements and our own inner process of developing great bliss, which is to develop great bliss. What happens is that the winds absorb into the central channel. By absorbing the winds in the central channel, the fire of digestion, which is the tumor fire at the navel, grows. And the fire of the navel, as it goes up, it will melt the white bodhicitta in the crown, and then the whole body will experience a sensation of great bliss. And as this great bliss is united with the correct view of reality of emptiness, it purifies all negativities of body, speech, and mind. So this is basically what we do at this moment of purification of the element. Okay, but we can even part of the separated off from the rest if we want. One moment, we just one in the morning, I remember Rinpoche teaching we can do the purification of the elements, for example, when we are in the shower. We are washing ourselves, we do E, Yam, Ram, Lam, Bam, Shuddhe, Shuddhe, Soha. E, Yam, Ram, Lam, Bam is the sit syllable of the 5 elements. It represents the essence of the energy of the 5 elements. So E for space, Yam for wind, Ram for fire, Lam for earth, Bam for water. And then Shuddhe, Shuddhe, Soha. Shuddhe means clean. Soha means so that. There are many translations for Soha, but so that may it be. So may it be like that. So Eho, Shuddhe, Shuddhe, Soha. Space, clean, clean, so may it be. Wind, clean, clean, so may it be. Like this we go on for every element. Okay? And we can do this purification many times, and it's very beneficial actually. Okay? And we can do it separately, like even we can do the same, even we do the same visualization of the purification of the 5 elements on the plate of food, on the medicine, on the place that we go. There are many ways how we can use this purification of the elements. It has basically the same meaning as when we have the inner offering, the Kapala, which is a more complex way, the whole explanation, but it actually has the same meaning of Eyam Ram Lam Bam. Okay? Now I don't go into details. So, with this we conclude the relative purification. So, after having made the relative purification, I finished to explain it in Italian, no? I think so. After having made the relative purification, we go to the absolute purification. The absolute purification is a very important part of the practice, although a little bit difficult to really understand it and to do it correctly, not so simple. But I believe for that reason also, in the most simplified version of self-healing, Lama Ganchen has not added the absolute purification, but we can edit it without any problem. It is on the extensive version of the practice, it is very clear there. And what we will do basically is that, first of all, we will simulate the process of death, which is called transforming the death into the Dharmakaya. So what we do, we visualize that everything dissolves into light, the whole universe dissolves into light, our body dissolves into light, our mind dissolves into light. There are no more memories, thoughts, emotions, anything. Just an infinite light, which is of the nature, which the mode of perception is that this infinite light lacks inherent existence, and it is inseparable of great bliss. There is a deep sensation of joy, of bliss, that is constantly inseparable of this infinite light, which means wherever there is emptiness, there is bliss. Wherever there is bliss, there is emptiness. And I am the union of great bliss and emptiness. I am this union, this non-dual union of great bliss and emptiness. So we stay in meditation on this state as long as we can, and then as we start first with the mantra Om Swabhava Shuddha Sarva Dharma Swabhava Shuddhoham, which means Om, all phenomena are of a pure nature, and so am I, which we can mean Om, all phenomena are of the nature of being free of inherent existence, and so am I. And then, so we stay in this state of this lack of inherent existence, where everything, nothing, where the appearance is this infinite emptiness, full of light, and inseparable of great bliss. So we stay in this meditative state for the time as we can. As I just said before, this is not a very simple meditation. To do it well, it takes quite some time for us to understand very well the meaning of the lack of inherent existence and the meaning of great bliss and to generate bliss and so on. It's not something obvious, but we start in a more simplified way, and slowly we go more deep into it. One of the important meanings of this meditation is that as we go through the practice, the objective of the practice is not only, the main objective is not for us to develop our gross level qualities or to eliminate our anger and so on a more gross level. It is actually to develop our qualities in a very subtle state, which means what is that it needs to reach enlightenment. The one that reaches enlightenment is not this gross body or this gross mind. It's our very subtle body and our very subtle mind that goes from life to life. That's what actually reaches enlightenment. So we need to develop such qualities. We need to develop ourselves in this very subtle level. And in order to do that, I need to simulate my own death. I need to give up this very gross identity that I have right now. And personally, the meditation on the simulation of the death process, personally, is one of the meditations that I mostly like. Because, when we do that simulation of death, it's so nice because so much weight is given away. If we think in this life, how many problems we do, I'll make question another way. How often do we get angry, jealous, pride, miser, or any other sort of conflict that has nothing to do with this life? Almost never. If we take all our conflicts, all the times we get angry, do we ever get angry for something that has nothing to do with this life? Do we ever get jealous for something of my next life? Do we have problems of attachment of my next life? Not really. Most of our conflict, not to say all, comes from where? From the attachment and narrow view that we have only of this life. This doesn't mean that we need to abandon this life. It means that we need to transcend this life and to take care and develop what continues from life to life. So as we simulate the process of death and everything dissolves, at that point, what remains is what transcends from life to life. And what transcends from life to life is our most subtle body and a very subtle mind. And that's from that state that we will generate a pure body and a pure mind, through which we will then actually do the self-healing and develop our qualities. Because what reaches enlightenment, once again, is not the gross body and the gross mind, it's the very subtle. That's why we can generate ourselves as after the transformation of death into the Dharmakaya, when we will do the transformation of Bardo into Sambhogakaya and rebirth into Nirmanakaya, we can generate ourselves into a female appearance, a male appearance, like Tara, or Vajrayogini, or Yamantaka, or Heruka, or Vajrasattva, or one of the 5 Dhyani Buddhas, one of the 5 great mothers. Because the very subtle mind that goes from life to life, that reaches enlightenment, is not male or female. We don't have this difference. Okay? Because what is the difference between male and female is in our very gross body. Is in our gross body and our gross mind. The gross mind also has the influence of male and female because it depends on the body. But from a subtle level, and even more from a very subtle level, there is no difference between male and female. You know, we all have. I can be reborn as a man. I can be reborn as a woman. And it's always the same very subtle mind that is being reborn. It's the same very subtle body that is being reborn. So, what reaches enlightenment is not man, male, or female. So in the same way, what happens is that in the meditation, as we recognize ourselves within our very subtle existence, and from that very subtle existence, we generate ourselves in a pure form, and that's where we are going to develop our qualities, from our very subtle state, not from a gross level. Okay? One of the messages that we are giving to us at this moment of the practice is saying, the qualities that I need to develop, they are deep level qualities. It's not just gross qualities just for the momentary aspect of this life. Then, sure, the momentary aspects of this life, they come out as a positive side effect of the practice. Okay? When we take care of what transcends from life to life, naturally we take care of this life. It comes as a positive side effect, wanting or not. Okay? So, the absolute purification is very important because it's through the absolute purification that will help us to transcend the concept of only this life. And will help us to concentrate into developing the qualities and eliminating the defilements that transcend this life. Okay? So, once we have developed ourselves with a pure body, with central channel, left and right channel, 5 chakras, we have the 4 steps of the generation stage, which are generating the lotus, the 6 syllables, the symbols, and the Buddhas. Okay? So we generate a green lotus at the sacral chakra, yellow at the navel, blue at the heart, red at the throat, white lotus at the crown. We generate the 5 lotuses, each one with its own number of petals, and then on each one of them appears a 6 syllable. The lotus represents a pure container in which we can develop our own qualities, and it also represents our own channels perfectly balanced so that our energy can flow in the right way. Then after that we have the 6 syllables. The 6 syllables, the name itself already says a lot. What is a seed? It's something very small that contains inside itself, that contains within itself a very strong potential. If I take the seed of an apple tree, very small, but it contains within itself the whole potential of a big tree. Similar to that, when I have the 6 syllable Om, it's just a small part of energy, it's a small vibration of the sound Om, but contains within it all the energy and all the potential of Buddha Vairochana, okay, which is our own wisdom developed at its maximum potential. But so we have the 5 seed syllables: Om at the crown, red A, white Om at the crown, red A at the throat, blue Hung at the heart, yellow Tram at the navel, green Tri at the secret chakra. Or we can also alternate with yellow Swa at the navel and green Ha at the secret chakra. Okay, there are 2 systems of it. The point is that the seed syllables, it's called syllable. Seed is because it's the essence of a potential. It's called syllable because it's a sound. It's not seed letters. Sometimes it's translated as seed letters. This is a mistake. It's a seed syllable because a syllable represents a sound. Okay? And the Om, Ah, Hum, Tramari, none of them are letters. They are syllables. They are different letters put together. Okay? So as they are seed syllables, syllable is a sound. Sound is vibration. Vibration is energy. Okay? So there is a very specific reason why the sound. Sound has a much bigger potential than the simply, conceptual communication. It has many other powers than much more than that. So, sound, syllable is sound. Sound is vibration. Vibration is energy. So it's the essence of the energy of our 5 aggregates in its pure state. Okay? Om, Ah, Hum, Tram, Ri. Then the seed syllables transforms into the symbols, which is like if you plant the seed and it starts to grow, and before it has become the full tree, this is like a small plant. And then, but you can already see more or less what it will become. So it's the manifestation is showing more clearly the qualities of the 5 Dhyani Buddhas. So we have a green double Vajra at the secret chakra, then we have a yellow jewel at the navel, a blue Vajra at the heart, a red lotus at the throat, and a white Dharma wheel at the crown. Okay? Then after that, these 5 symbols transforms into the 5 Dhyani Buddhas. The 5 Dhyani Buddhas are, as we know, Amoghasiddhi, Ratnasambhava, Akshobhya, Amitabha, and Vairochana. Green, yellow, blue, red, and white in color. Okay? But what are the 5 Dhyani Buddhas? The 5 Dhyani Buddhas are our own qualities, our own aggregates, developed at their maximum potential. This is what actually are. So what is Buddha Amoghasiddhi at our secret chakra? Buddha Amoghasiddhi is, when we develop Buddha Amoghasiddhi, we imagine that Buddha Amoghasiddhi is the representation, is the embodiment of what? The pure aggregate of composition of factors, which is the certainty on every action, is the ability of rejoicing. It means being free from jealousy, being free from envy, being free from fear. When I have, let's say, a Akshobhya at the heart, it means what? Developing the pure aggregate of consciousness, which means developing love and compassion and stability and having patience and having completely being freed from anger and hatred and aversion and impatience and sadness and so on. So it has a much deeper meaning. So it's important for us to understand the meaning of the 5 Dhyani Buddhas. And as we develop the symbols within our subtle body, it is representing that we are developing these qualities within ourselves. So when I visualize in my heart the seed syllable Hum, when I visualize the seed syllable, it's not I don't write in Tibetan. Hum. Okay? It's a dot of light, like a seed, the size of a mustard seed, very small, with blue in color that vibrates with the sound Hum. And then it develops into this beautiful Vajra made of light, blue in color that vibrates with the sound Hum. And then it develops into Buddha Kshobhya, which is beautiful and stable, just as we have here represented. But all of this is just symbolizing the inner qualities being developed. This is important for us to make this connection. Otherwise, it's not like cut and paste. Okay, I go there, I cut a little dorje and I put in my heart. Then I cut a little image of the Buddha, like we have represented there. I try to imagine I take in the sadhana and I stick it my heart. That's not what we are doing. When we visualize, it's a symbol representing the qualities. So as I develop within my 5 chakras, the 5 Dhyani Buddhas, means my 5 aggregates are pure. Means I have developed fully the 5 wisdoms. I have abandoned the 5 defilements. I have developed my qualities. It's something so overwhelming. It's deep. It's strong. It's not, and the visualization is there to help us for that. But for us to understand this clearly, we need to understand clearly what are the meaning of the 5 Dhyani Buddhas. Okay? So just to conclude, we go to the next step. So, after having generated our energies with the generation stage, developing the qualities of the 5 Dhyani Buddhas within our subtle body and mind, we need to use these energies in order to purify completely our own body and mind in a gross, subtle, and very subtle level, and in order to be of benefit for others. So we do that by generating, by what is called the 4 initiations. The 4 initiations are the vase initiation, the vase empowerment, the secret empowerment, the wisdom empowerment, and the word empowerment. Okay, to speak about this really in details, it takes quite a long time, maybe months, maybe years, really, to be able to understand it well. But I'm just going to touch very quickly some parts of it, okay? So, the vase empowerment is where we concentrate in our 5 aggregates in a pure state and in our identity in a pure state. So it's where we receive the bell empowerment of Amoghasiddhi. It's divided into 6 parts. The vase empowerment. So we have the bell empowerment of Amoghasiddhi, the crown empowerment of Ratnasambhava, the water empowerment of Akshobhya, the Vajra empowerment of Amitabha, and the name empowerment of Vairochana. And after that, we have the Vajra Master empowerment, in which we generate ourselves as Vajradhara, which is the union of the 5 Dhyani Buddhas. And within this process, what we do is that by each one of the empowerments, we generate a new sensation of great bliss and emptiness, through which we purify completely each one of our 5 aggregates, which means basically we purify completely body and mind. Okay? And then we can also visualize that from each one of the 5 Dhyani Buddhas on each chakra, light and nectar and emanations of Buddha emanate, goes to every sentient being, purifies their negativities, brings them to the state of Buddhahood, and then after reabsorb back into our chakra. Okay? We can do it in, this explanation can be very extensive actually, okay? But we concentrate mostly into our 5 aggregates in its pure state, which means our body and mind in its pure state. And then after, in the Vajra Master empowerment, we generate a pure identity based on that, which means the union of the 5 Dhyani Buddhas. After that, we go to the secret empowerment. The secret empowerment is where we generate the union of great bliss and emptiness through the male energy of method and the female energy of wisdom. In self-healing is when we do the Om Mani Padme Hum, from down, from up, from the crown to the secret chakra, and then we do again the Om Mani Padme Hum, from the secret chakra to the crown chakra, and we concentrate within our central channel in the male energy, white bodhicitta of the male energy of method, the red bodhicitta of the female energy of wisdom, and through the white bodhicitta of male energy of method and the red bodhicitta of the female energy of wisdom, we generate a sensation of new bliss and emptiness that purifies our body and mind in a subtle level. And after that, we have the wisdom empowerment, in which we unite the male and female energy in our 5 chakras, and finally it unites all at our heart. It's when we do Mahasukha. And at that point, all the energy that we have generated is absorbed into our heart, and by the union of male and female energy, we develop a new sensation of great bliss and emptiness that purifies our body and mind in a more subtle level. And after that, we have the part which is called the word empowerment. It's called the word empowerment because it is beyond words. There are no words to express it. A non-conceptual state, which basically what we should do is that we simulate the state of enlightenment, which is the union of clear light and illusory body, which in other words is the union of the very subtle body and mind in a totally pure level, totally pure state. Okay, clear light is the enlightened, very subtle mind. Illusory body is the enlightened, very subtle body, and the union of these two is the state of enlightenment. So, as we do Om Vishwa Shanti Hum, it means also when we do the dedication, but it also means that we generate, we will experience the state of enlightenment. We will at least simulate the pure state of enlightenment. And as a meditation is very similar to the meditation on the clear light, as we did in the beginning of the practice, where everything in the absolute purification. Okay. These meditations, actually, they can be very complex, very deep. They're not so easy to understand. It takes time for us to understand it. It takes time for us to get at the meaning. It's not something so obvious. In the monasteries, normally, before monks go to understand well and do this practice in a deep level, it takes maybe 18 years of philosophy and 6-7 years of Tantra studies before they really go in deep into this. Whenever I went to talk to other monks about and teach about the deep meaning of these 4 initiations, to be sincere, not many of them really knew how to answer it. So it's not something so obvious, so no hurry, know all right away. But we have many opportunities in which at least I try to share the little that I know in the best way as possible. So then after that, as we generate ourselves in the state of Buddha in a very subtle body and mind, we go to the conclusion part, which is when we generate ourselves into the deity between sessions, which means once again we manifest ourselves with a gross body and mind in order to be of benefit for others. That's when we do the practice we call Tunzam Gilhar Kyeba in Tibetan, and that's in the when we do the prayer Lama Kunju Sumla Kyabso Chirani La Sedori Sunecho Dongan Chosunier Chotada Dom Gejo Kundu Jishin Drotunje, which means I generate myself in an instant as a pure form, as a deity, with 1 face and 2 arms, the whole environment and the universe appears. I take refuge in the Guru and Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, and I will keep the dharmas of Sutra and Tantra, and I will practice the 6 generosities, the 6 perfections, in order to be of benefit for all sentient beings. So this is when we generate ourselves in a pure form through which we will do the daily activities. And then we do the final dedications. And so on. And then we can also do this other part, which is the vase breathing meditation with Om Ah Hum Pe Om Hum Ah, which I'm not going to go into details right now about it, okay? And simply because of time. And so with this, we have the complete practice of self-healing. So, I just wanted to add one thing briefly, is that when we look at the 5 Dhyani Buddhas, it's very important the way how we look at them. What do they mean for us? In our lives, we are extremely influenced by the myths in which we grow in, the stories that we listen. No? If we look around, I see so much influence by Walt Disney stories, no? And so they have lived happily forever. Which means, how many of us have grown with these stories? And then, what is the attitude that we do? The same. That's what we want to reach. Okay? So when we are a child, not only child, as we grow up, the myths that we receive, the stories that we listen, they have an amazing, incredible influence in our life. Which means the way how we see the world, our own perception of existence, it's different. And what I want to say is that when we look at Buddhism, Buddhism was taught in a context very, very different than the one that we have right now, originally, from the point of view of culture and so on. And there are some aspects, some paradigms that are so different from the ones that we have right now in our culture here. So it's important for us to understand the differences, so in order for us to try to listen and to see from a different perspective. So for example, first one, we live in a way of seeing existence in our culture, Western culture, which is not necessarily, nothing to do directly with the Christian culture. It's coming from much earlier than that. Already the Greek and so on. which is a culture in which we live only one time. Life here happens only once. And after, okay, you can go to the God realms or to the hell and so on, but life in this body is only one life. And then, together with that, it comes a very linear way of seeing reality. So when we live only once, what matters in our life? What you do. In the Buddhist perspective, which is not only Buddhist, but it's also in Buddhism, how many times we live life? Infinite time. You can count countless times to the past, countless times to the future. So finally it's not one, it's zero, no? It is endless. If we really think zero is the biggest number of all, because it's showing infinite. So, what happened is that we have these countless numbers of lives to the past and to the future. When we have countless numbers of life, what matters? What I do? No. It matters what I become. It's like if we go into this gompa and we start walking around. It's circular, no? So we go around and around and around and around, and we walk around countless times. I have so many opportunities to look at it again and again and to do it many different ways. What is important is not what I do when I go around, is what I become as every time I finish a cycle. You know? When we have countless numbers of life, it doesn't matter. In this life I got married in the way it went good. Well, I didn't get married in the way how I expected. No problem. Next life we try again. I had an opportunity in this life. I became the doctor that I wanted. Good. If I didn't become the doctor that I wanted, I have another life to try again. You know, I have so many other lives to come. And what is important is not what we do, it's what we become. It's because what we become is what we bring from life to life. So by the end of this life, it doesn't matter much how many things I have built or how much money I have made or how much success I have had professionally. What matters is that I should die a better person that was born. That's why in Buddhism, it's not much important what we do, but how we do. It's more important how you do than what you do. It's more important what you become than what you realize. But if we look in our society, what is the main thing that we value? Doing. What's the mean to judge if a person is good or not? How much he can produce, how much he can do. Instead of the inner qualities. So we live in this very linear, very pragmatic, very, result-oriented way of seeing, which is very material way of seeing things. And Buddhism is teaching us something else. What is the most important is what we become. Okay? So, from these two perspectives, when we listen to Buddha's teachings, from a linear point of view, one lifetime paradigm, it's one thing. When we look at the same teachings from a cyclic perspective of many lives, where the importance is what we become, it's a completely different way of listening to the same teaching. One aspect, for example. Another thing, which is the point I wanted to bring, when we look at the Buddhas, what are the 5 Dhyani Buddhas? They represent our own qualities developed at their maximum potential. So this means that I can become a Buddha. I have pure qualities. Instead of just saying, oh, these are 5 gods that can come here and bless me and do something for me. No. The 5 Dhyani Buddhas are our own qualities developed at their maximum potential. So imagine if we grow up with the myth of the 5 Dhyani Buddhas. Like, for example, in Japan, one friend brought me from Japan one small statue of Buddhist deities done like toys for children to play. Like, imagine if we grow up and we have the myths. What are our myths? Oh, the 5 Dhyani Buddhas. A table full of passion, bhava, and richness, and so on. And we go the 5 Dhyani Buddhas, the myth of the 5 Dhyani Buddhas, which represents my own qualities. Which means I grow up believing in myself, believing that I can develop my qualities. That's what the 5 Dhyani Buddhas are showing to us. So it's important for us to see how is our perspective of reality in relation to that. We come from a culture where the sacred is there and I am here totally impure. And it's impossible for me to become of the same nature of the sacred and the pure. And we tend to do the same thing with Buddha. We tend to do the same thing as we take refuge. We tend to do the same thing with the Guru. Which means I take refuge in you. I will do anything you want as long as you ask me what I want to do. And I will do anything you want. But it's your responsibility. So if something goes wrong, you are the one to blame. It's not working. If it would work, wonderful, but it doesn't work. Buddha himself said very clearly, what I can do is show to you what you accomplish and then depends on you doing it or not. I cannot do more than that. I can bless you, but no more than that. I can show you the path, but you need to walk. But it's a change of paradigm that I can become same as. And this is what self-healing is showing us. This is what the 5 Dhyani Buddhas are showing us. Just one more example because they're able to keep things. When we talk about karma, we have sometimes the idea of karma that, okay, I do positive things, we bring positive results, negative things, negative results, until here, okay. But very often I see that people have the idea of karma that is some sort, okay, I did many positive things, so the negative things don't matter so much. Oh, he did so many negative things, so he's completely damned. And we have this idea of a judgment, no? Of putting on a scale, more positive or more negative. So when I die, someone will judge my karma, will judge my actions, and according to that, I will have a good future or a bad future. Karma has nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with this idea. It's more like if I have a field and I plant many seeds of a very sweet medicinal plant, something very sweet. And in the middle of many sweet plants, if I plant one seed of chili, when it grows up, will it become sweet? No. That seed of chili, if I go and I go to harvest, I can plant many sweet plants. But if I go and I harvest that specific seed of chili that I planted, it's spicy. The same thing on the other way around. So, every action I do will bring its own result. Our own actions, our own familiarity that we generate in our mind, that's what is really going to do the difference. So what I want to say is that there is many aspects which are from our own way of seeing reality, our culture, our perspective, our way of seeing the world, that have a very strong influence in the way we listen to everything. That's why when we listen to the same teaching in different moments of our life, we understand different things. And we need to understand that many paradigms that we have in our own way of seeing reality from our culture are very different from the ones that were there when Buddha taught. So we need to change. And that's why what happens is that the tendency is that in the beginning we start learning, for example, about refuge, about reincarnation, about karma, very basic fundamental aspects of Buddhism. But as we go around after 20 years of practice, whatever time, we should come back to the same fundamental aspects, and we will see them in a complete different way. Because our mind have changed. So just remember to see how I see things. Not only what Buddha has taught me, it's not only the teachings that I listen, it's how I listen to them. What are the tools that I bring to listen? In which context I put these teachings within myself? And this makes a complete big difference. So remember, please, 5 Dhyani Buddhas represent our qualities developed. Okay? This doesn't mean the 5 Dhyani Buddhas outside don't exist. Sure, there are the many Buddhas that have reached enlightenment. They can manifest in many different ways. There is the pure aggregates of the other Buddhas. We can ask for blessings and we can receive blessings. No doubt. But what are the 5 Dhyani Buddhas? The qualities developed at their maximum potential. That's why we visualize inside ourselves, because it's showing our own potential of enlightenment. Okay? Now we go for lunch. A little bit late, but okay.
Jetsun lame kutse rapten chi nam karatile chochur gepa dan losan tembe dreme sasumgi drowe mun statu ne gyur chi nimo dele tsendele nime kunyan delekshin nintsen taktu delek pe kuncho sumge jinge kunge ngor kuncho sumge trashi at dawn or dusk, at night or midday, may the three jewels grant us their blessings. May they help us to achieve all realizations and sprinkle the path of our lives with various signs of auspiciousness. Oma hum temba lame sangye rinpoche kyeba. Dremba lame gendo rinpoche kyabne kuncho sumla che pa bu lojo sambo pa gyu drashe pa tuche tempe tingle yar. Pege drolo zambe zebra che pande lame shela che pa bu omo ahum omo ahum.